Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Carol Sullivan. I'm registered dietitian at Mass General. I'm happy to be here to speak with all of you today. I have been a certified specialist in oncology and nutrition for the past 15 years. So, as you know, since Mass General was a heavily services information we've seen for our patients over the years. I'm not going to be addressing everything related to Chordoma care, but I'm try to get to the bulk of just the general nutrition recommendations when it comes to cancer recovery. So when I'm thinking about today's agenda, there aren't specific recommendations for diet and lifestyle when it comes to Chordoma, but thinking about more broadly the recommendations that come from the American Institute for Cancer Research and the World Cancer Research Fund. And their specific recommendations, we address those today and how you can think about those, and then look at how you would actually implement those when looking at your plate using what we call plate planning, and then eating for recovery, specifically thinking about getting enough protein in your recovery from surgery, radiation, if you're on a targeted therapy, and then one heavy slide on difficulty swallowing, just some drugs, calories, protein, because that tends to be the thing that's challenging if swallowing is hard.
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
Can you move a little bit to because
Sorry,
because
I kept running into the light before, so I was trying to stay in the light.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure. Then building a better smoothie, because smoothies are a great way to fit a whole meal into a smoothie, but you just have to be a little bit thoughtful about it. And then thinking about fatigue and how fatigue impacts this population, cooking fatigue. And then just one slide on constipation, especially if pain is an issue. You know, the constipation comes along with pain management in most cases. And then finally, some resources and how to find a registered dietitian in your area. It's not working. Thank you. You just advance the slide for me. Start. Yeah, thank you. So this infographic is awesome. It's from the American Institute for Cancer Research and the World Cancer Research Fund. They are my go-to when it comes to the evidence-based nutrition and cancer information. They've looked at all of the research when it comes to nutrition and cancer and are continuously updating their recommendations. They have a giant report, it's hundreds of pages long, and they've taken that report and been able to synthesize it and provide these recommendations. So the specific nutrition recommendations that are in this infographic that I want to address are, number one, just thinking about how do I include more plants every day? Eating a lot of plants in your day means you're getting enough fiber, means you're getting all the phytonutrients, phytochemicals, all the different colors of all the fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, beans that we eat represent different phytochemicals that might have actions against cancer and disease. And then if you wanted to think about, well, what can I start eliminating that might be helpful? The next few bullets are those items. So thinking about limiting consumption of fast foods and other processed foods that are high in fat, starches, and sugars. If you're eating a lot of these foods, it really just means it's pushing some of the other plants out of your diet. So trying to think about pushing some of the fast food in your eating pattern. And then limiting red meat to 18 ounces a week is the recommendation, which sounds high probably to a lot of you. And then avoiding processed meats, which are things like hot dogs and sausages and deli meats and Italian meats. And then limiting sugar sweetened drinks, which again, if you're drinking a lot of sugar, you're having a lot of added sugar in your diet, it's probably pushing out some of the other nutrient dense foods. So I would say the caveat here is if you're having trouble using calories, using some 100% fruit juice can actually be helpful in drinking some calories that are easy to get down that have some of the nutrients from things like pomegranate juice, tartary juice, and cranberry juice. And then the next one, this actually says limit alcohol consumption, but true recommendation from AICR and the World Health Organization is to avoid alcohol because it doesn't actually bring anything to the table. And then the next one being do not use supplements to prevent cancer. So we know that this country's supplements are not regulated there. And there's also this thing shoot cancer, getting way too much of certain vitamins and minerals that could actually too. So do not use supplements for cancer prevention. It's different than using a supplement to fill in a nutrition gap. Like if you need a vitamin D, calcium in your diet, those are the appropriate supplements to be taken. So moving on, this is just to demonstrate what plate planning would look like if you weren't eating animal products. And this comes from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I do like to point out that yes, like if you have moved on and you are not in active recovery, you can meet your nutrition needs and you can meet your protein needs with a plant-based diet. Later on, when I talk about recovery and getting enough protein, a lot of times when your body is busy and it's healing and your appetite isn't as good, having some animal-based protein can actually be helpful because it doesn't take as much volume to meet protein needs. Versus if you're trying to meet all your protein needs with hummus and beans, like it's too filling almost. So, and then I want to point out that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine has some great resources if you're thinking about that you want to get more plants into your diet. They have putting on a budget, eating more plants, and then they also have a jumpstart handout, lots of recipes to get you started and swaps that you can make in your day-to-day. I really love this plate planning from the American Institute for Cancer Research. And the left, we start with like typical standard American plate where most of the plate is starchy vegetables. Nothing wrong with potatoes and peas. They actually do have a lot of good nutrients in them. But then half the plate is red meat, and then you can see on the second plate you're shrinking down the meat, and then you're swapping out the buttery, sour, creamy mashed potatoes with maybe a brown rice, and then half the plate is non-starchy vegetable coming from green beans, and then even better is like what we want to get to at the end of the day where the plate is just full of color. Even the chicken that's on the plate has lots of herbs and spices on it, which herbs and spices can be great anti-inflammatories too. So I want to move on for the sake of time. So if you're sitting there thinking like, well, I've heard that you shouldn't be eating any carbohydrates at all. Plant-based diet is high in carbohydrates from whole grains and fruits and vegetables. This is a great schematic that came out from two researchers from Memorial Sloan Kettering last year who are doing a lot of research on the ketogenic diet versus a plant-based diet in cancer. And this was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Oncology last year. And what we're looking at is on the left is the whole plant-based diet and all of the mechanisms that might be able to suppress cancer cell growth compared with the ketogenic diet and all the mechanisms that can suppress cancer cell growth. And the purplish, pinkish color is the overlap. So I do want to go through these just to have you think a little bit about this whole plant-based versus ketogenic diet. So we think about the whole food plant-based diet, my favorite. It's full of these phytochemicals or phytonutrients, all of those different colors and fruits and vegetables that have the ability to protect cells and maybe even protect from DNA damage. And then fiber, you're getting a ton of fiber, easily exceeding 30 grams of fiber period in most of the plant-based diet, which that decreases the transit time to how quickly things move through our gut, which means that our waste product is not interacting with the mucosa, and that may in turn reduce cancer. And then the fiber also creates this butyrate, which is when all of the bugs in our GI tract are eating the fiber for fuel, they create this short chain fatty acid called butyrate. The more of that we have in our gut, it decreases inflammation, and that might reduce cancer. And then the next one, well, there's a ketogenic diet, whole food and plant-based diet, and the ketogenic diet might reduce weight. Whole food diet, whole food plant-based diet does it because it makes us feel more full of fiber, and that might in turn reduce inflammation and cancer. And then the next whole food plant-based diet usually will decrease blood glucose levels and decrease insulin levels circulating in our blood, which then decreases this insulin-like growth factor, which is really significant when it comes to cancer. So we decrease that, reduce cancer in that way. And really the big difference is ketogenic diet. If you're following ketogenic diet where you're only eating 20 grams of carbohydrate a day and you're in ketosis, you're producing this substance all the way on the right called beta-hydroxybutyrate that can be measured in the blood, and that might in turn decrease inflammation and reduce cancer. We have very small trials so far, ketogenic diet. It's a lot of animal studies so far. We don't really think yet that this is as effective, especially with mechanisms for plant-based diet. But again, it's being studied still. There is more information on aggressive brain tumors using ketogenic diet. So switching gears to recovery, we know that when we're in recovery and your body is working hard, we need more protein. So combined with if you're able to move every day and use your muscles to maintain muscle mass, that is a great recipe for success. So if you can move and get out protein, that is wonderful. And then usually in recovery mode, activity isn't great. So trying to increase the number of times per day that you can be helpful to reach your 3 hours. And then on the flip side, rest is also important because for most of us, our brains are way ahead of where our bodies are, and it can be hard for some of us to rest. So thinking about protein, so these are like heavy protein sources in the diet. And this is where we switch gears and say like having some animal products is probably going to be helpful in the recovery stages to get. Some people need like 1.5 grams per kilogram. So almost 50% more protein in the recovery stage compared to normal. So I'm not going to run through all of these, but just to give you a flavor of where all the big protein sources come from. And then if you are having trouble swallowing, thinking about sticking to easy to chew soft foods. Sometimes I think people feel really limited when they can only have soft foods or liquid foods, but sometimes writing out everything the way this is, like what you're able to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner helps to give you a better feeling for those things that you can't have. And some suggestions. I want to highlight the 2 pictures. They do come from the Change Cancer Center website where we have recipes. This one is a avocado chocolate mousse with cranberries and mint. And then the other one is a veggie lasagna that uses chickpea or lentil pasta to up the protein and up the fiber, and then has some other vegetables mixed into it. So this is just to highlight, like, if you do need a soft diet, there are lots of options. And this is where I think the dietitian can be helpful to kind of help you kind of build up that repertoire of things that you can tolerate. So this is how to build a better smoothie. So I think a lot of people make a smoothie and it's fruit and it's protein powder and water juice. Really it can be so much better. So if you think about how you build a meal, that's how you should build your smoothie. So you want to incorporate protein, fruit, vegetable, nuts, and fat. And then for me, I'll actually describe like my ideal smoothie is that keeps me feeling full and is more than meal. So I love soy milk. You can like hardly find soy milk these days because oat milk is like pushed it off the shelves. But soy milk is the only source of complete plant protein. And it also has really good indications for vascular disease, so I love soy milk for that reason. I might use Greek yogurt, because fermented dairy is really beneficial too, for the gut microbiome, especially if you do deal with constipation. Then I would add frozen tart cherries or my favorite foods to a smoothie. And then I might add frozen rice cauliflower. You could buy it that way, and you can throw that into a smoothie. You can taste it, especially one. And then for me, I need to add flax or chia, or I'm hungry like 30 minutes after a smoothie. So think about like how I'm going to build a smoothie to meet your needs. This is another area where I feel like a dietitian can be helpful. You could do the same type of thing with soups. Like instead of just having broth-based vegetable soup, like you could really add a lot of different components to a soup to make it more of a meal, getting all of the nutrients. And I didn't like smoothies to so this I think is really interesting. This calls back to that first slide, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the recommendations, and they've studied those recommendations to see how people are doing adhering to them. And they've studied these recommendations in almost 6,000 adults living with and beyond other cancers. And of those patients, 30% met the recommendation of 500 grams of vegetable per day. Of those people who met those requirements, they had a 21% reduced odds of severe fatigue, which is pretty cool that those recommendations are going above and beyond cancer, right? So fatigue is definitely an area that people struggle with. And then same thing for people who are following the guidelines of less than 18 ounces of red meat per week, had a 35% reduced odds of severe fatigue. Same thing with headache. So thinking about cooking with fatigue, you definitely have to be a little bit more intentional too if you're someone struggling with fatigue by having like minimal effort cooking methods around like hot pots, air fryers, spray cookers, instant hot and pressure cookers, and even just Googling sheet pan meals for different flavors that sound good to you that don't require that much prep. Taking advantage of convenience foods too. I think people don't think about canned, frozen, and ready to eat foods as healthy foods, but they really can be. We were out of fruit this morning in my house. I took out the frozen tart cherries that I keep on hand all the time. I love the temperature, and I was able to have breakfast. So they can be really, really helpful pinch to have on hand. And then making it a joint effort. So calling on friends and family that would be helpful to maybe make a meal and make like a specific meal that you have in mind if you know you're going to have days that are more fatigued than others. So we already kind of talked about utilizing your freezer, but also making sure that you have meals that you can reheat the days that you're particularly fatigued. Keeping it simple, you don't have to cook it all to eat all. You can pull things out of the pantry and freezer. And then making the most of good days if you know there are certain days that you feel better trying to do meal prep. There's 2 items. It could be 1 whole grain and sheet pan, something that day to help you for the week. Moving to constipation. So again, pain meds and constipation go hand in hand, and if you struggle with constipation and medication, you likely need more than just diet to help you, but diet can definitely help. So getting enough fiber helps to move things along, combined with getting enough fluid to make sure that everything is moving. I love this Smooth Move Senna tea by Dietitian Medicinals. It's really awesome to help keep things moving. And then if you wanted to use fiber supplements like Sullivan fiber, citrusol, fiber, those are great as well. And then specific foods, all of the pea fruits, stone fruits, especially with prune, have sorbitol in them that acts like a laxative. Sorbitol is a sugar alcohol that has a laxative effect. And then going back to the chia and flax, those are great because you're going to be getting the same type of soluble fiber that you might get in these products, but you're going to be getting a lot more nutrients out of the chia and focus. Different things. And if this is a recurring problem for you, maybe you should like just adopting a regular routine every day. Yeah. And then this is, I have to plug the MGH Cancer Center resources. We do have recipes, and then we also have MGH Cancer Center Lifestyle Medicine page that has videos. The nutrition video that's on right now is Stocking a Cancer Fighting Kitchen. It's myself and one of my colleagues. I think the content is really good. We're not professional videographers, so the camera angles is the best the whole time, but the content is really good. And then these are some of my favorite resources. I mentioned the American Institute for Cancer Research. It really is so good. They have so many good articles and blogs when it comes to nutrition and cancer. And then here's the American College of Lifestyle Medicine Jumpstart handout that I really like. If you're having trouble coming up with recipes or ideas for soft foods, or do you like this easiest one, easy to chew cookbook? It's full, depends for them, it stands up. And then Rebecca Katz has this Cancer Fighting Kitchen cookbook, and she's a couple of books that are too. Then if you are looking for a registered dietitian, you can go to eatright.org. This is my professional organization's website, and you can go to find a nutrition expert, and you can plug in whether you want in-person or telehealth and where you're located and what specialty you want that person to have on your help to find a registered dietitian. And if you need help with that part of it, I'm happy to help you out. This is my personal email. I do have a MGH email address that this tends to not get clogged up. I'm happy to help you if you have specific questions, or if you want to meet myself or my colleagues if you're an MGH patient. Too. Then I think I left more time this time for questions, takeaways, and questions. If anybody has them. Questions? Yeah.
So we try to be as possible very nutrition and basically follow the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
We eat a lot of seafood. We start to incorporate because we don't really ever have really anything else, but we eat a lot of cheap foods and things like something interesting, high protein, polyglot. Start to look at when substitutes that are more
Yeah, it's possible.
And then and the minute you do the zucchini from your garden and part of do something and then form it in a different way, the processing begins. And even the more over processed something, the more risky it is. So in terms of cancer prevention, if you're trying to balance your diet with all of these plant-based over highly processed foods, what should you really want that? Like is it the burger?
That's
Better and healthier for you.
so far. It's so interesting. I know. It's tough using the word processed. That's a tough word because I'll come back to the needs in a second, but you could look at my favorite soy milk, and it might be just soybeans and water and salt, but I actually prefer to have some calcium application. Once you're adding that calcium, it's like a heavily processed food, so you can just slap that. You know what I mean? Like, so there's still health benefits to some processed foods. Yeah.
It's funny, my grandchildren, they eat stone milk yogurt, so that's regular cow's milk. They grew up with the first 2 years of their life, or first year was breast milk, and then some people drink milk.
Yeah, the pea milk. It's pea. Yeah.
Protein.
Yeah.
So it's funny because my husband told me in the refrigerator, he's like, It's like millennium. What's going on?
Yeah. There's on the branch.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
So we had. And I tried to stand and I tried to trim it because I didn't have ripple milk. We had some milk that was in a blue container, some organic milk, and
Yeah.
ripple milk comes in a blue container. So I poured it into his cereal.
You know?
Caution cereal.
Yeah.
He tasted it and had this real.
Oh. Oh my God, yeah, there's so many options, I mean, that speaks just how much.
Looks better.
Um,
I have one question.
Yeah.
I never,
it's a pea protein, right, so there's so many more dairy allergies now that they've had to really develop and get creative with different milks. And pea protein is like, it's not a complete protein, it's like just below soy when it comes to pea protein. So Rebel Milk is a company that's done really well, and I have lots of people that I know that keep Rebel Milk because to dairy. And the kids like it better than almond milks. So, but
What's better, soy or almond or what's more beneficial milks?
soy, I'll put soy at the top of the list.
For everybody and every day.
Yeah.
Because hormonally, it's social.
Nope, yeah, that myth is still circulating, yeah, soy is, yeah, soy has been heavily studied in breast cancer patient hormone-sensitive cancers, and soy is either neutral or protective.
Even for children.
Yeah, it's more protective if they're having soy in adolescence. If soy causing cancer, the Asian population would be exploding with estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. So there's a protective.
is the hamburger then,
Is a what?
the hamburger better?
So research said yes, yeah, so they're studying the cardiac markers after replacing regular beef with the Impossible and Beyond, and so far, yes.
I understand that, but cardiac is however, for its long-term effect.
You don't know, it hasn't been around, it's been around for a few years, Yeah,
Oh, what's like supplements to see if one is better than the other or?
and it's so hard, so number one, is wanna make sure it's third party tested. So make sure it's third party tested. You'll see either USP, US Pharmacopoeia, or NSF. And that ensures what is in it is actually what the label says, which is like such a and then the second thing, if you wanted to make sure, if you were curious about mechanisms are and what's study, you could look at the Sullivan Kettering about herbs. That's a decent website. As providers, we have access to the more robust website when it comes to supplements. If you're curious about something, I'm happy to look into it.